everybody, Trevor here, and welcome to another Top 5 video. Recently, the first Lion King film from 1994 has officially reached its 30th anniversary. And because of that, we'll be looking at my top 5 picks for the best Lion King characters. Before we begin, I just want to explain my honest thoughts on the Lion King franchise. Even though I enjoyed the first film ever since I was a toddler for its memorable characters, music, animation, and storytelling, it's not really something I would watch all the time. Now, don't get me wrong, I still think this film is overall great, and I can totally see why many people consider this their number one favorite film in terms of the Disney Renaissance era, but if I were to put it as number one on my own list, then it'd be too cliched. That's why I mostly prefer movies that are criminally underrated just to give them more love and attention. Case in point, The Rescuers Down Under, which is not only my most favorite sequel of all time, but also my most favorite Disney movie from the Renaissance era. I also enjoy The Lion King 2 Simba's Pride despite its flaws, same for Lion King 1.5, which is a prequel to the first movie. And when it comes to TV show spin-offs, my most favorite of the bunch would be Timon and Pumba, even though it's not really canon to the original trilogy in terms of various aspects like the use of human technology, but it's one of the best spin offs based on a popular franchise for its outrageous humor and new characters. But enough about that. Let's go over the rules for this top 5. I will only include those from the first movie, so that means no sequel characters or any of the TV show exclusives. I also won't include characters who only appeared in the live action remakes, like the upcoming Mufasa movie. Oh ho ho ho, don't get me started on that garbage! Now, without further ado, let's get to the African beat with these 5 characters from the first Lion King movie of 1994. Number 5, Mufasa. Ah, good old Mufasa, the father of Simba, the husband of Sarabi, the older brother of the evil Scar, and the former king of the Pride Lands. He was originally voiced by James Earl Jones, the same guy who also voiced Darth Vader from the original Star Wars trilogy. Not only was he a great father to Simba, but also a very wise and friendly king who knew a thing or two about the great circle of life. And yes, while I definitely agree with the majority of people that it was very sad to see Mufasa get killed by Scar, but thankfully, we do get to see him again in spiritual form later on in the film, where he tells Simba, "Remember who you are." However, the reason he's number 5 is because while it was nice for James Earl Jones to reprise his role in the live action remake, if you can even call it that, but he sounds pretty tired in this version compared to his performance in the original 1994 animated movie. It just feels like he's out of practice. No offense. Still, Mufasa is one of the best Disney dads in the Disney lore because of his wisdom, kindness, and good parenting skills to Simba. Number 4 is Scar. You may remember that I put Scar as number 5 for being one of my top 10 favorite Disney villains of all time back in October of last year. Well, I'll try to keep it brief here. Not only is he evil and ruthless, but his vocal performance by Jeremy Irons suits him perfectly in my eyes. He was the one responsible for Mufasa's death in the first place, and led an army of hyenas to take over the Pride Lands. And those are all the reasons why I consider him number 4 on this list. If you want more information about my 2 cents on this villain, I'll provide a link in the description below. Otherwise, I might repeat myself over and over and over again. Number 3 is Simba. Don't worry guys, not all of these candidates will be lions. In fact, this will be the final lion character on this list. I can promise you that. What makes Simba so memorable was how he develops in the first movie. He starts off as a laid-back, friendly, playful, and rambunctious little lion cub, and as he grew older, he started to learn responsibility and to help others from his friends so that he could go back to the Pride Lands, defeat Scar once and for all, and reclaim his throne as the true new king. And I know I'm gonna get some hate for this, but I actually like Matthew Broderick's performance as the main hero because of his voice. He was also known for some of his monologues in the past, such as Biloxi Blues, for example. I don't think he made Simba bland at all. I thought he did an overall decent job with the character, or at least better than Donald Glover from the live action remake. Oh, and did I forget to mention that Simba's singing voice actor Cam Clark did a great job too? Glad Disney used him for backup purposes such as Kingdom Hearts 2, just to name one. So when it comes to Disney heroes in general, I would say that Simba is definitely one of my favorites for his heroism and great character development. I suggest you give his voice and singing voice actors some credit for their performances. Number 2. Rafiki. There are several reasons why he's number 2. For one thing, not only is he quite funny, but also very wise. He's basically a shaman equivalent of Merlin the Wizard from The Sword and the Stone. He was also a very important part of the movie where he was the one who raised a newborn Simba up in the sunlight at the beginning of the film, and not to mention, he was the one who realized that Simba was alive by sniffing his scent in the air, which leads him to go find him and tell him to go back to the Pride Lands to defeat Scar and to reclaim his throne as the one true king. Oh, and how could I forget the funny part where during the final battle scene, Rafiki was able to kick some hyena butt? That scene was hilarious. And those are all the reasons why Rafiki deserves the number 2 spot. Before I get to number 1, here are a few honorable mentions. Nala. Despite being a great character overall, she got beat out by Simba. And besides, I don't want too many lion characters on this list. Zazu. He would have been number 2. The hyenas. While they are overall good villain sidekicks to Scar, they seriously would have been number 1. Speaking of which, the number 1 spot is obviously Timon and Pumba. Remember when I brought up the Timon and Pumba spin-off show earlier in the video? Well, that's one of the biggest reasons why Timon and Pumba are on the number 1 spot here. The second reason is that, like Genie from Aladdin, they are also extremely funny, friendly, and very useful to the overall plot of the movie. For example, as young Simba was about to get eaten by a group of vultures, the duo came to save him and were hospitable to the poor lost cub by taking him to their paradise home where they fed him bugs to eat and told him to forget all about his worries. Oh, and by the way, Hakuna Matata is one of my favorite songs from The Lion King along with One of Us from the second movie. In addition, I think Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella are perfect for their roles. In fact, they did a perfect job compared to Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen in the 2019 remake. Man, that version sucked. So, all in all, because of these reasons, Timon and Pumbaa are my most favorite Lion King characters of all time, as well as being some of my favorite comic relief characters along with Genie from Aladdin. Now, let me know your thoughts down below on which of these Lion King characters are your favorite. Do you agree with my list, or do you have your own personal preference? And if you don't like The Lion King in general, then that's perfectly fine, as long as you have good reasons for it, and understand why The Lion King was so successful and popular in the first place. My next few top videos will revolve around SpongeBob SquarePants, since the franchise has hit its 25th anniversary this year, so stay tuned for those. This is Trevor Davis signing off, and have a great day.